The warning lights started blinking at 300 hours Galactic Standard Time. Leaned closer to his console, his compound eyes reflecting the sudden sea of red alerts spreading across his screen. He had monitored the communications network for the Galactic Council for 17 years. He had never seen anything like this. "Supervisor," he called out, his translator converting his clicks into standard galactic speech. "We have a problem." Supervisor X walked over, her 4 legs carrying her massive frame across the monitoring station floor. She looked at the screen and her eyes widened. "What am I looking at?" "Earth sector communications have stopped," said. He pulled up the data logs. "Everything, all of it, gone silent." "Equipment failure," X suggested. Shook his head. "No, look at the pattern. Every relay, every station, every transmitter went dark at exactly the same moment. This was not a failure. This was deliberate." X straightened up. "Contact the council now." Within the hour, the council chamber filled with representatives from 40 different species. High Chancellor, a tall being covered in scales that shifted from blue to purple when he was annoyed, stood at the center podium. His scales were definitely purple. "Explain this again," demanded. Brought up the holographic display. A 3-dimensional map of known space appeared, with Earth and its surrounding systems marked in red. At 300 hours, all human transmissions ceased. Radio, quantum communications, everything. Complete silence. "Perhaps they are having technical difficulties," suggested Ambassador from the Merchant Guild. "All of them at once?" replied. "Earth has over 9 billion humans. They have colonies on 12 worlds, mining operations on hundreds of asteroids, trading ships across known space. All of them went silent within a 3-hour window." The chamber erupted in conversation, raised his hand for silence. "Do we have any human representatives present?" "No," said. Ambassador Martinez was transmitting his daily report when his signal cut off mid-sentence. "We have the recording." The recording played across the chamber speakers. Martinez's voice came through clearly. "The treaty negotiations are proceeding well. I believe we can reach an agreement on the mining rights by next week. Earth Command has authorized me to—" The signal ended with a sharp click. "Not even static," pointed out. "Just nothing." "Could they have been attacked?" asked General, a warrior from the collective. "By whom?" asked. "Our sensors show no fleet movements near human space, no weapons signatures, no debris fields. They simply stopped talking." "I say good riddance," muttered council member, a member of the warrior species that had clashed with human traders before. "The humans have been expanding too aggressively, taking too much territory, building too many ships. Perhaps they finally encountered someone stronger than them." Several council members nodded in agreement. Humans had only joined the galactic community 40 years ago. In that short time, they had colonized 12 worlds and established mining operations across 2 entire systems. Their population grew faster than any species in recorded history. Many council members found them unsettling. "Or perhaps they are planning something," said quietly. Laughed. "Planning what? The humans are clever, I will grant them that. But they are one species among 40. If they were planning military action, we would have detected their preparations." "Would we?" asked. "Their last census report showed they controlled over 800 capital ships. That was 6 months ago. How many do they have now?" "It does not matter," said. "We will send an investigation fleet to the Sol system. 300 ships should be sufficient. If the humans encountered hostiles, we will assist them. If this is some kind of test, we will respond appropriately." The council voted. The investigation fleet would leave immediately. Commander Foster led the investigation fleet. He had served the council for 20 years, working his way up from a simple security officer to fleet commander. He had been to Earth before. He liked humans. They were energetic, curious, and friendly. The silence worried him more than it worried the council. His fleet entered the Sol system 4 days after the silence began. Stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the sensor displays. What he saw made no sense. "Reports," he ordered. "The system is empty, Commander," his sensor officer said. "No ships, no stations, no communications satellites, nothing." "What about the planets?" "Earth is there, Mars colony is there. The moons of Jupiter show structures but no power signatures. Commander, it is like everyone just left." Walked to the main viewport. Earth hung in space ahead of them, blue and green and beautiful. But there were no lights on the night side. No ships in orbit, no traffic between the planets. "Take us closer," he said. The fleet approached Earth. They scanned every frequency. They sent messages in every language. Nothing responded. The planet was there, perfectly intact, but empty of human activity. "Ground scans?" asked. "Cities are intact, Commander. Buildings are there. Infrastructure is there. But no power grids active. No heat signatures, no movement. If anyone is down there, they are not using any technology." "That is impossible," said. 9 billion people do not just disappear." "Commander, we are detecting something," the sensor officer said. "Small objects in orbit. They were not there before." "Show me." The screen displayed dozens of small satellites appearing as if from nowhere. They had been cloaked, hiding in plain sight. "They are broadcasting, Commander." "Play it." A message began playing on a loop in Galactic Standard language. "This system is now off limits. All Council ships must leave immediately. This is your only warning, you have been told." Felt a chill run down his spine. "Get me the Council, now." Back at Council headquarters, listened to his report with growing confusion. "They evacuated an entire species? That is ridiculous." "I am looking at an empty Earth," Chancellor said from the screen. "They are not here." "Then where are they?" "I do not know, but they left a message. They want us to leave." Laughed. "Let them want. We should claim these worlds. The humans abandoned them. They are ours now." Spoke up from his station. "Chancellor, I have been reviewing historical data. Over the past year, human asteroid mining increased by 400%. They requested mineral rights in 17 systems. They imported industrial equipment on a massive scale. At the time, we thought they were simply expanding their economy." "What are you suggesting?" asked. "I am suggesting they were building something," said. "Something big." "Building what?" "I do not know, but whatever it is, they evacuated their entire species to do it. Every human, every colony, every ship, they all went somewhere." "This is speculation," said. "Then let me speculate further," continued. "What if they are not running from something? What if they are preparing for something?" "Preparing for what?" His mandibles clicked nervously. "For us." The chamber went silent. Broke the silence with a harsh laugh. "You think the humans are preparing to fight the entire Galactic Council? That is insane. We have 40 member species. We control 300 systems. We have been spacefaring for thousands of years while humans still thought their planet was flat 500 years ago. I am simply presenting the data, Chancellor." "The data says they ran away," declared. "And I say we take what they left behind. Council is adjourned. Prepare colonization fleets." As the Council members filed out, remained at his station, watching the data scroll past his screen. He pulled up shipping records, mining reports, and industrial output figures. The numbers told a story that frightened him. The humans had not just evacuated. They had stripped every resource they could carry, every useful piece of equipment, every bit of raw material, every ship they owned had left their home systems loaded to capacity. They had taken everything they needed to build something massive. And then they had vanished completely. 3 weeks after Earth went silent, the first Council colonization ships arrived at Mars. Stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the red planet with satisfaction. Soon it would belong to his people. The Council had divided human territory among the most powerful species. His people had claimed Mars and the asteroid belt. "Send down the first landing teams," he ordered. His communications officer hesitated. "Sir, we are receiving a signal." "From whom?" "Unknown source. It is on all frequencies." "Play it." A countdown appeared on every screen. Numbers ticked down from 72 hours. Below the numbers, a message in Galactic Standard. "You have 72 hours to withdraw all forces from human territory. This is your final warning." Snorted, "A recording, probably automated, ignore it." "Sir, should we report this to the Council?" "Report what? A timer. The humans are gone, they ran away. This is just their last attempt to scare us. Begin landing operations." But across human space, every Council ship received the same message. Every colonization fleet, every mining operation, every single vessel that had entered what used to be human territory saw the same countdown. At Council headquarters, compiled the reports. He had received over 300 messages from different ships, all describing the same countdown. He took his findings, too. "Chancellor, we need to reconsider," said. "Reconsider what? Running away from a timer," was in his private office, reviewing colonization contracts. "This is a bluff. The humans want us to think they still have power here. They do not." "How can you be sure?" "Because if they had power, they would have used it by now. Instead, they run and hide and send us threatening messages. It is pathetic." Pulled up a holographic display. "Chancellor, look at this data. I have been investigating what happened before the silence, the humans systematically. First, their deep space vessels, then their outer colonies, then their inner colonies, finally Earth itself. This was planned down to the smallest detail." "So they planned their retreat well. What of it?" "It was not a retreat. It was a reorganization," enlarged the display. "Look at their resource consumption in the months before they disappeared. They were importing raw materials at 10 times their normal rate. Steel, titanium, rare earth elements. They were building something." "You keep saying that," said, "but you have no proof. You have numbers and speculation." "I have more than that now," pulled up a data file. "Before Ambassador Martinez's signal cut off, he was compiling reports on human activity. I found his files. He was concerned, very concerned." "About what?" "About how many ships the humans were building." Finally looked interested. "How many?" He did not know the exact number, but he had reports from human shipyards. 6 months before the silence, they had 30 major shipyards operating. When he filed his last report, they had 300 shipyards, all working at full capacity. "That is impossible. We would have detected that." "Would we? They built them in deep space, far from trade routes, far from council patrols. They hid them deliberately." Was quiet for a moment. Even if they built 300 shipyards, how many ships could they possibly produce in 6 months? 1,000? 2,000? "Martinez estimated at least 50,000, said quietly. "And that was 6 months ago." The room went very quiet. "That is a lie," said, but his voice lacked confidence. "I hope it is," replied. "But in 18 hours, that countdown reaches 0, and I think we should move our ships out of human territory before it does." "We will do no such thing," said. "The Council has voted. The human worlds are ours now. We are not leaving." Bowed and left the office. He had tried. He sent a private message to Commander Foster, who was still in the Sol system. "I suggest you leave, soon." Received the message and stared at it for a long time. He trusted. The being had good instincts. But the Council had ordered him to stay in the Sol system and establish a monitoring post. Leaving would be disobeying orders. He looked at the countdown timer on his screen. 63 hours remaining. "Helm, take us to the edge of the system," ordered. "Best speed." "Sir, the Council ordered us to." "I know what the Council ordered. I also know when to follow my instincts. Move the fleet, now." His ships began to leave the inner solar system, heading for the outer edge. Behind them, Earth hung silent in space. On the colony world of New Perth, Lisa Warren had been trying to piece together what happened. She was half human, half. Her human mother had married a traitor. Lisa worked as a data analyst for the Council. She had access to files that most beings never saw. She had been reviewing shipping records from the months before the silence. What she found terrified her. The humans had purchased industrial equipment on a scale that made no sense. They bought construction drones by the millions, mining robots by the billions. They had acquired enough raw materials to build 1,000 cities, but they were not building cities. They were building ships. Lisa calculated resource consumption rates against known shipyard capacity. She ran the numbers 3 times to make sure. Her conclusion was impossible, but the math was clear. If the humans had dedicated their entire economy to shipbuilding for the past 6 months, they could have produced over 100,000 vessels, maybe more. But that would require the cooperation of every human government, every corporation, every individual. An entire species working together toward a single goal. That level of coordination was impossible. No species had ever achieved it. Except the humans had gone silent all at once. Every single one of them. Perhaps they were capable of coordination that other species could not imagine. Lisa tried to send her report to the Council. The message would not go through. She tried again. Nothing. She checked her communications equipment. It was working fine. Something was blocking her messages. She looked out her window. In the distance, she saw ships arriving. Council ships coming to establish a colony. They had no idea what they were walking into. Lisa tried to warn them. Her messages would not send. She ran to her communications console and tried to broadcast on emergency frequencies. Still nothing. Whatever was blocking her was sophisticated. She pulled up the countdown timer. 24 hours remaining. Deep in space, far beyond any charted system, 500,000 human ships floated in perfect formation. They had been building for 6 months. Every human had evacuated to the construction zones. Children helped in factories. Elderly people worked assembly lines. Scientists designed. Engineers built. Soldiers trained. They had built the largest fleet in galactic history. Admiral Brandon Cole stood on the bridge of the Defiant, a massive warship 3 times the size of the largest council vessel. Around him, status reports scrolled past screens showing the readiness of his fleet. Every ship was ready. Every weapon was charged. Every crew member was at their station. "Admiral, we have confirmation," his communications officer said. "Council forces have entered all major human systems. They are preparing to establish colonies." Brandon nodded. He had expected this. The Council saw opportunity and took it. They did not realize the opportunity was bait. "How long until the timers expire?" he asked. 18 hours, sir. "And our fleet?" "Ready to jump on your command, sir." Brandon looked at the tactical display. 500,000 green dots, each representing a human ship. They had bet everything on this plan, every resource, every person, every hope for the future. If they lost, humanity would be extinct. If they won, humanity would be respected. "Send a message to all ships," Brandon said. "Tell them we jump in 17 hours, and remind them of why we are doing this. We are not conquerors, we are protectors. We protect our homes, we protect our families, we protect our future." The message spread through the fleet. On 1,000 ships, human crew members read it and nodded. They remembered their families. They remembered their homes. They remembered Earth, silent and empty, waiting for them to return. Sanders sat in the engineering bay of the Defiant, running final checks on the jump drives. She had designed the propulsion system that would move the entire fleet at once. It had never been tested at this scale. If it failed, the fleet would be scattered across space, vulnerable and alone. "How are we looking?" Brandon asked, entering the bay. "Good," said. "The system should work, should." "Should." "We are trying to move 500,000 ships in a synchronized jump. No one has ever done anything like this before." "Can we do it?" Looked at him. "I built this system. I have checked it 1,000 times. Mathematically, it should work perfectly." But math and reality do not always agree. We are going to find out which one wins." Brandon put his hand on her shoulder. "You have done amazing work, all of you have. In 6 months, we built a fleet that should have taken 50 years to construct. You made the impossible real." "We had help," said. "Every human alive helped. That is what makes this possible." "That is what makes us human," Brandon agreed. He left the engineering bay and returned to the bridge. The countdown showed 16 hours remaining. 16 hours until the Council learned what happened when you underestimated humanity. In those 16 hours, Council ships continued to arrive at human worlds. They set up bases. They planted flags. They divided the territory among themselves. They celebrated their good fortune. And they never noticed the sensor anomalies appearing at the edge of their detection range. Gravity fluctuations, energy signatures, the signatures of 500,000 ships preparing to jump. The countdown hit 0, was reviewing colonization progress reports when every alarm on his ship started screaming. He jumped to his feet as his officers scrambled to their stations. "Reports," he bellowed. "Multiple jump signatures detected," his sensor officer said, his voice rising in panic. "Hundreds of them, no, thousands, sir, the count keeps rising." "Show me." The main screen lit up with red dots. More appeared every second. The computer struggled to count them all. 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, the numbers kept climbing. "How many ships?" demanded. "I do not know, sir. Our sensors cannot count them all. They are appearing in formation at the edge of the system." "Identify them." "Working on it, sir. Running identification protocols now." The officer went pale. "Sir, they are human ships, all of them." "That is impossible," said. "The humans only had 800 capital ships. Our intelligence was clear." Sir, we are now detecting 50,000 ships. The number is still rising. Stared at the screen. This had to be a sensor malfunction. There was no way the humans had 50,000 ships. He had 12,000 ships in his fleet. That made his fleet the third largest in the galaxy. 50,000 ships was impossible. Update, sir, the sensor officer said, his voice shaking. 100,000 ships detected. The bridge went silent. Officers stared at their screens in disbelief. Keep counting, ordered. 150,000, 200,000, sir, they are still coming. This is a trick, said. They are using sensor ghosts, false signals to make us think they have more ships than they do. Negative, sir. These are real mass readings, real energy signatures. These are actual ships. How many now? 300,000, sir, still rising. Felt something he had not felt in 20 years of military service. Fear. 400,000 ships, sir. Get me the council now. At council headquarters, chaos erupted. Reports flooded in from every system that had been claimed. Human ships were appearing everywhere, hundreds of thousands of them, in perfect formation, moving with precision that suggested a level of coordination that should be impossible. Stood in the command center, watching the tactical displays. His purple scales had gone almost white. This cannot be real, he said. It is real, Chancellor, said from his station. We are receiving visual confirmation from multiple fleets. The human ships are there, they are real, and there are a lot of them. How many? Final count is still coming in. Current estimate is 450,000 vessels. The number might be higher. Sat down heavily. Where did they get 450,000 ships? They built them, said simply. They spent 6 months doing nothing but building ships, every human, every resource, everything they had went into this fleet. Why? Because they knew this would happen. They knew the council would try to take their territory once they appeared weak, so they made themselves strong enough that no one would ever try again. On the main screen, a transmission came through. A human face appeared. He wore a military uniform and had steel gray hair. His eyes were hard but calm. This is Admiral Brandon Cole of the Human Defense Fleet. I am transmitting to all council forces currently occupying human territory. You have entered our space without permission. You have attempted to claim our worlds. This will not be tolerated. Admiral Cole said, finding his voice. This is Chancellor. There has been a misunderstanding. We thought your people had been destroyed or had abandoned these systems. There was no misunderstanding, Brandon said coldly. You saw opportunity and you took it. You thought we were gone, so you tried to take what was ours. That was a mistake. Please let us negotiate. We can reach an agreement. There is nothing to negotiate. You have 1 hour to begin withdrawing your forces from all human systems. Any ship that remains after that deadline will be destroyed. Any base you have established will be removed. You are leaving our space. The only question is whether you leave alive. The transmission ended. Received the same message. He stared at his screen, watching the human fleet move closer, 450,000 ships against his 12,000. The math was simple and brutal. We can fight them, his tactical officer suggested. We have experienced crews, better weapons technology. Do the math, said quietly. Even if every one of our ships destroys 10 of theirs, we still lose, and I do not think we can achieve that kill ratio. So we run. We retreat. There is a difference, straightened his uniform. All ships begin withdrawal from the system, best speed. Do not engage the humans unless they fire first. Sir, the Council ordered us to hold this system. The Council did not know the humans had 500,000 ships, replied. I am not going to die for a planet I do not care about. Move the fleet. His ships began turning away from Mars, accelerating toward the system's edge. Behind them, the human fleet advanced like a tidal wave. But not all Council commanders were as smart as. At the colony world of New Perth, commander of the collective looked at the human fleet approaching his position. He commanded 3,000 ships. The humans had sent 20,000 to his system. Sir, we should withdraw, his first officer suggested. No, said, the do not run, we fight. Sir, they outnumber us 7-1. Then we will die with honor. All ships battle formation, prepare to engage. His fleet moved to intercept the human vessels. On the human side, Captain Amy watched the ships approach. She commanded the human task force at New Perth. She had hoped the Council forces would leave peacefully. Apparently, they would not. "They are forming a battle line," her tactical officer reported. "Give them one more chance," Amy said. "Open a channel." "Channel open, Captain." "Vessels, this is Captain Amy. You are outnumbered and stand down and withdraw. No one needs to die today." His face appeared on the screen. "We do not surrender, human. We will fight you with our last breath." Amy sighed. "Then I am sorry." She closed the channel. "All ships, weapons free, disable their vessels if possible, but protect our people first." The two fleets collided. They were experienced warriors. They had been fighting in space for 200 years. They knew every tactic, every maneuver. Their weapons were precise and powerful. But they had never faced human tactics before. The human ships moved in ways they had never seen. Small groups of 5 or 6 ships worked together like they shared one mind. They sacrificed their shields to protect damaged vessels. They took hits meant for others. They fought not as individual ships, but as a single unified force. And there were so many of them. For every ship there were 7 human ships. They fought well. They destroyed 80 human vessels in the first 10 minutes, but they lost 300 of their own. Watched his fleet being torn apart. His officers reported damage from all sides. The humans were everywhere, coordinating their attacks with impossible precision. "Sir, shields are failing on multiple ships. We cannot hold them." "Then we die trying," said. "Sir, they are not trying to kill us," his tactical officer said suddenly. "What?" "Look at the damage reports. They are targeting our weapons and engines, not our life support, not our crew compartments. They are trying to disable us, not destroy us." Looked at the tactical display. His officer was right. The humans could have destroyed his fleet completely by now. Instead, they were systematically disabling each ship, leaving the crews alive. Why would they do that? He wondered aloud. His communications officer had the answer. "Sir, we are receiving a message from the human captain. She says if we surrender now, we can evacuate our crews to lifeboats. She promises safe passage out of the system." Had led warriors for 30 years. He knew when a battle was lost. But more than that, he recognized something in the human captain's offer. Mercy. The humans were winning, but they were not being cruel about it. They were giving him a way to save his people. "All ships cease fire," he ordered. "Begin evacuation procedures." Within 20 minutes, the crews had evacuated to their escape pods. The human ships collected the pods and created a corridor for them to leave the system. Not a single crew member was harmed after they surrendered. Captain Amy watched them go. "Let them tell the Council what happened here," she said quietly. Across human space, similar battles occurred. Some Council commanders immediately, others tried to fight. Those who fought learned the same lesson as the humans were not invading, they were defending, and they were willing to show mercy to those who surrendered. But they were also willing to destroy those who did not. In the Sol system, Commander Foster watched the human fleet arrive from his position at the edge of the system. He had moved his ships away from Earth as soon as he got warning. Now he understood why. The human fleet was massive. Hundreds of thousands of ships spread across space in perfect formation. They moved like a school of fish, each ship aware of every other ship's position. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission," his communications officer said. Admiral Brandon Cole appeared on the screen. "Commander Foster, I see you moved your fleet away from Earth." "I did, Admiral." "Smart choice, you saved your crews." "I had good advice from a friend," said. "I assume he is a good being, one of the few in the Council who saw what was coming." "What happens now, Admiral?" "Now you leave, take your ships and go back to Council space. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them humanity is done being underestimated." "Will you attack the Council?" "That depends on whether the Council pulls back. If they withdraw from our territory, there will be no more fighting. If they do not..." Brandon left the threat unfinished. Nodded. "I will deliver your message." "One more thing, Commander. You are a good officer. You followed your instincts instead of bad orders. The galaxy needs more people like you." Brandon's expression softened slightly. "When this is over, perhaps our people can be allies instead of enemies." "I would like that, Admiral." The transmission ended, ordered his fleet to jump to Council space. Behind them, Earth's sky began to fill with human ships returning home. At Council headquarters, received reports from all fronts. The news was the same everywhere. Human ships were pushing Council forces out of their territory. Some battles were bloody, most were not. The humans were not trying to massacre Council forces. They were simply making it clear that human space belonged to humans. "How many ships have we lost?" asked quietly. 2,300 destroyed, reported. Another 5,000 disabled. The humans have lost approximately 4,000 ships. "They can afford it," said bitterly. "They have 450,000 ships." "What are your orders, Chancellor?" Looked at the tactical map. Red marks showed where Council forces were being pushed back. Green marks showed human fleets advancing. There was only one choice. Order all Council forces to withdraw from human territory immediately. Any commander who the Battle of New Perth became the turning point that the Council could not ignore. By the end of the first day, Council forces had been pushed out of 20 human systems. By the end of the second day, 40 systems. The human fleet moved like a machine, coordinated and relentless. Admiral Brandon Cole stood in the command center of the Defiant, watching status reports from hundreds of battlefronts. His fleet was divided into task forces, each one commanded by experienced officers. They were winning every engagement. "Admiral, we have secured the outer colonies," reported Commander Parks from the carrier group stationed near the asteroid belt. "Council forces have retreated. We are beginning recovery operations." "Good work, Commander. What about civilian casualties?" "Minimal, sir. Most Council forces without fighting. Those who did fight focused on our military vessels, not civilian targets." Brandon nodded. That was something, at least. The Council might have tried to steal human territory, but they were not monsters. They avoided unnecessary killing. "Sir, we are receiving reports from the Mars Task Force," his communications officer said. "Captain Laura Mitchell reports that fleet has fully withdrawn from the system. No casualties on either side." "Smart commander," Brandon said. "He knew when he was beaten." Sanders entered the command center carrying a data pad. She looked tired but satisfied. "Admiral, the jump drives performed better than expected. We moved the entire fleet with only a 0.2% failure rate." "How many ships did we lose to drive failure?" 900, but we recovered all the crews, no fatalities from technical issues. Brandon permitted himself a small smile. "You did good work, you all did." "We had motivation," replied. "Every human working on this project knew what failure would mean, extinction or slavery, so we made sure we did not fail." Brandon looked at the tactical display. Green markers showed human ships. Red markers showed Council forces retreating. Yellow markers showed systems being secured. The map was turning green system by system. "How long until we reach the Council capital?" he asked. 3 days at current speed," his navigation officer replied. "We have clear paths to there." "Do not get ahead of yourself," Brandon said. "We are not trying to conquer the Council. We are trying to teach them a lesson." "What lesson is that, sir?" "That humanity cannot be pushed around, that we protect what is ours, and that we will not tolerate aggression against our people." At Council headquarters, emergency meetings ran around the clock. Had not slept in 2 days. Reports kept coming in, each one worse than the last. The human fleet was unstoppable. Council forces were in full retreat. "We need to discuss peace terms," said. He looked as tired as felt. "Before they reach our." "Peace," said. He had arrived from Mars in disgrace, his fleet half destroyed. "We should be talking about counterattack. Gather every ship we have and strike back." "With what?" asked calmly. "The humans have 450,000 ships. The entire Council military combined has maybe 300,000 ships, and many of those are patrol vessels and cargo ships, not warships." "Then we build more ships," insisted. "That will take years. The humans built their fleet in 6 months because their entire species dedicated itself to the task. Can you convince 40 different species to work together like that? To share resources? To put aside politics and profit?" Had no answer. "The humans are different from us," continued. "When they face a threat, they unify, all of them, every single one. They become one people with one purpose. That is why they are winning." Rubbed his eyes. "So we sue for peace. What will they demand?" "Let me ask them," said. "I will contact Admiral Cole directly." The communication went through quickly. Brandon Cole's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm and professional, not like a man leading an invasion force. "Chancellor," Brandon said, "I was wondering when you would call." Admiral Cole replied, "I wish to discuss terms." "Terms are simple. You withdraw all Council forces from human territory. You officially recognize all human systems as sovereign. You pay reparations for the damage caused by your attempted invasion. And you never, ever try this again." "That is acceptable," said quickly, too quickly. He saw the surprise on Brandon's face. "You agree just like that?" "Admiral, I am not a fool. You have shown us that humanity cannot be defeated by conventional means. You have 450,000 ships and the will to use them. You have one. I accept that. So let us end this before more people die." Brandon was quiet for a moment. "You are more reasonable than I expected, Chancellor." "I am a politician, not a warrior. I made a mistake. I underestimated your people. I thought the silence meant weakness. I was wrong. Now I am correcting that mistake." "What about the others in the Council?" Brandon asked. "Will they accept these terms?" "They will have no choice. I will call an emergency session. We will vote on the peace agreement." "And if some species vote against it?" Scales shifted to a darker purple. "Then they will deal with humanity alone. The rest of us will accept peace." The Council session was loud and chaotic. 40 species arguing about what to do. Some wanted peace. Some wanted war. Some wanted to wait and see what happened. People were the loudest voices for continued resistance. "We cannot let the humans dictate terms to us," argued. "It sets a terrible precedent. Every species in the galaxy will think they can challenge the Council." "The humans did not challenge the Council," replied. "The Council challenged humanity and lost." "We have not lost yet." "Yes, we have," said quietly. The room fell silent. "We lost the moment we assumed the humans were gone. We lost when we tried to steal their worlds. We lost because we did not respect them. And now we pay the price for that disrespect." "So we surrender," demanded. "We accept reality," corrected. "The humans have more ships than we do, better coordination than we do, and most importantly, they have unity that we can never achieve. 40 species can never act as one, but all humans can. That gives them a strength we cannot match." "What if we fight them anyway?" someone asked. "What is the worst that could happen?" Pulled up a tactical simulation. I ran the numbers. If the entire Council military engages the human fleet in total war, we lose 60% of our forces. They lose maybe 30%. We cannot sustain those losses. Our economies collapse. Our defenses fall. Meanwhile, the humans still have 300,000 ships, more than enough to occupy any world they choose. The room was silent. "So we have no choice," someone said. "We have a choice," replied. "We can choose peace with dignity, or we can choose war and destruction. I choose peace." The vote was not unanimous. 12 species voted against the peace agreement, but 28 voted for it. That was enough. "Sent word to Admiral Cole. We accept your terms." But Brandon Cole was not done yet. His fleet continued moving toward Council space. 3 days later, the human armada arrived at the edge of Council territory. Not attacking, just there, visible on every long-range sensor, a reminder of what would happen if the Council broke their word. The human fleet surrounded the Council capital station, a massive structure that housed the government of 40 species. Brandon ordered his ships to maintain position but not to power weapons. This was not an attack. This was a demonstration. On the station, Council members looked out their windows and saw human ships in every direction. Thousands of them, hundreds of thousands. The sky was full of human vessels. "This is what power looks like," said quietly, standing at his window. Brandon sent a final message to the Council. "We did not come here to destroy you. We came here to make sure you understand us. Humanity wants peace. We want to trade, to share knowledge, to live alongside other species. But we will not be victims. We will not be conquered. We will not allow anyone to threaten our people. Remember this day. Remember what you see here. And never forget that when you tried to take what was ours, we took it back." The transmission ended. The human fleet maintained position for 12 hours, long enough for every news service in Council space to broadcast images of the human armada, long enough for every species to see the power humanity had built in secret. Then, as quickly as they had arrived, the human ships began to jump away. Not all at once, systematically, in perfect order, one task force at a time. The coordination was flawless. Within 6 hours, the human fleet was gone. They left behind only one ship, a small diplomatic vessel carrying 2 people. Ambassador Martinez and a security officer had survived the evacuation and now returned to resume his duties. He walked into the council chamber looking tired but unbowed. The council members stared at him. 3 weeks ago, they had assumed all humans were dead or gone. Now they knew the truth. The humans had been preparing for this moment all along. Ambassador Martinez said formally, "Welcome back." Chancellor replied, "I believe we have peace terms to finalize." The treaty was signed within a week. All human systems were officially recognized as sovereign territory. The Council paid reparations of 10 trillion credits, Council forces completely from human space, and a new agreement was reached. Humanity would have a permanent seat on the Galactic Council with full voting rights equal to any other species. Some Council members complained that humans had earned their seat through force, not diplomacy, pointed out that most Council members had earned their seats the same way centuries ago. The only difference was that humanity had done it faster. Brandon Cole stood on Earth, watching the sun set over the city where he had grown up. Around him, lights were coming back on. People were returning home. Children played in streets that had been empty for months. Life was returning to normal. Sanders joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "The fleet is standing down," she reported. "Ships are returning to their home ports. Crews are being released to return to their families." "Good," Brandon said. "They earned it." "Do you think the Council will honor the treaty?" "I think they will be too afraid not to," Brandon replied. "We showed them what happens when they threaten us. They will not forget that lesson." "Some people are saying we should have pushed further," said. "Taken control of the Council, made humanity the dominant power in the galaxy." 6 months after the silence ended, the Galactic Council held its first joint session with humanity's full participation. The Council chamber had been redesigned to include a section for human delegates. Martinez sat in the new seat marked Human Systems, looking out at the 40 species that had once tried to claim his people's worlds. The mood was tense. Everyone remembered what had happened. The images of 500,000 human ships surrounding the Council station were shown on news broadcasts across the galaxy. Children drew pictures of them. Adults talked about them in worried whispers. The humans had proven they could destroy the Council if they wanted to. The question was whether they wanted to. Chancellor opened the session. His scales were a neutral blue today, carefully controlled. "We begin this new era with hope for cooperation and mutual respect. The events of 6 months ago taught us valuable lessons. Today we move forward together." The first order of business was trade agreements. Human mining operations wanted to resume selling resources to other species. Council members wanted human technology, especially their shipbuilding methods. Negotiations went smoothly. Both sides wanted peace to work. But during a break approached Martinez. The warrior looked uncomfortable, like he would rather be anywhere else. "Ambassador," said stiffly, "I wish to speak with you privately." Nodded, and they moved to a quiet corner of the chamber, struggled to find words. "I led the fleet that tried to occupy Mars," he finally said. "My people were going to claim it as our own. We thought you were gone. We thought we could simply take what you left behind." "I know," said quietly. "I was wrong. My people were wrong. When your fleet arrived, I saw the truth. You did not run away. You were preparing. And when you came back, you could have destroyed us all. But you let my people retreat safely. Why?" Considered his answer carefully. "Because we are not conquerors. We were defending our homes. When you were no longer a threat. Killing you after that would have been murder, not defense. Other species would not show such mercy." "We are not other species," replied. "We are human. That means something." Bowed his head, a gesture of respect among his people. "My government has authorized me to formally apologize for our actions. We attempted to steal what was yours. We acted without honor. We seek to make amends." "Apology accepted," said. "Let's talk about how we move forward." Over the following weeks, treaties were signed. Trade routes reopened. Human ships began traveling through Council space again, though always in groups, always armed, always alert. Trust would take time to rebuild. On Earth, Admiral Brandon Cole oversaw the decommissioning of the war fleet. Not all of it. They kept 200,000 ships active, enough to defend human space against any threat. The rest were converted to cargo vessels, mining ships, and colony transports. Weapons were removed. Armor was repurposed. The fleet that had threatened the galaxy became the fleet that would explore it. "Seems like a waste," commented Captain Laura Mitchell during an inspection. "We built these ships to fight. Now we are turning them into freighters." "We built these ships to survive," Brandon corrected. "Fighting was just one way to do that. Now we survive by building something better." Sanders had returned to civilian life, though she still consulted on ship designs. She stood in a conference room with other human leaders discussing the future. "Some species are asking to buy our shipbuilding technology," one delegate reported. "They want to build their own large fleets." "Absolutely not," said another delegate. "That technology is what kept us safe. If everyone has it, we lose our advantage." "If everyone has it, everyone is safer," countered. "Right now, we have power because we can build ships faster than anyone else, but that creates fear. Other species worry we will use that power to dominate them. If we share the technology, we prove we are not trying to dominate anyone. And if someone uses it against us, then we still have 200,000 warships and the best military coordination in the galaxy. We will still be safe." The debate continued for weeks. Eventually, humanity decided to share some technology, but not all of it. Enough to help other species defend themselves, but not enough to threaten human security. It was a compromise, but it worked. Meanwhile, human colonies began expanding again. This time, they asked permission first. They negotiated with neighboring species. They established borders and trade agreements. They acted like members of a galactic community, not isolated outsiders. At Council headquarters, compiled reports on the new galactic situation. The data was fascinating. Since humanity's display of force, conflicts between Council members had decreased by 40%. Species that had been arguing for years were suddenly finding compromises. No one wanted to be the next target of human intervention. "They are behaving better because they are afraid," observed Reading's report. "Is that bad?" asked. "Fear can promote peace just as much as friendship. Fear can also breed hatred, and hatred leads to war. Then we must ensure humanity gives the Council reasons to respect them, not just fear them." Humanity seemed to understand this instinctively. Human aid ships began appearing in disaster zones. When a plague struck the system, human medical teams arrived within days. When a mining accident trapped hundreds of workers in the asteroid belt, human rescue ships pulled them out. When a solar flare threatened a colony world, human engineers helped build better shields. The galaxy began to see humans as more than warriors. They were helpers, builders, protectors not just of their own people, but of anyone who needed help. 1 year after the silence, Commander Foster was promoted to Admiral and given command of a joint Council human task force. His mission was to patrol the Outer Rim, protecting colonies from pirates and raiders. Half his fleet was human, half was from various Council species. The first few weeks were awkward. Council crews and human crews did not trust each other. They kept to separate parts of the ship. They ate in different mess halls. They barely spoke. Called a meeting of all senior officers, human and non-human. "I know you do not trust each other yet," he said. "That is understandable. A year ago we were ready to go to war, but that war did not happen. We chose peace instead. Now we need to make that peace work, and the only way to do that is to trust each other." "How do we build that trust?" asked an officer. "By working together, by protecting each other, by proving that we are all on the same side." 3 weeks later, the task force responded to a distress call from a colony under pirate attack. The joint fleet arrived to find 20 pirate ships attacking a defenseless settlement, divided his force, sending human and Council ships together in mixed groups. At first, the coordination was poor. Ships got in each other's way. Communication was confused. But as the battle continued, the crews learned to work together. Human ships covered Council vessels while they recharged shields. Council ships provided targeting data to human gunners. They fought as one fleet, not two. They won the battle with no friendly casualties. As they returned to base, noticed human and Council crew members talking in the hallways, sharing stories about the fight, laughing together. The barrier was breaking down. On Earth, children who had spent 6 months in evacuation centers were now back in school. Teachers asked them to write about their experiences. One boy wrote, "We left Earth because we had to become strong enough to protect it. My parents worked in the factories building ships. I helped sort components. Everyone did something. When we came back, Earth was still here, and now no one can take it from us. The teacher showed this essay to local news. It spread across the planet, then across human space, then across the galaxy. Other species read it and understood something important about humans. They did not fight for glory or conquest. They fought for home, for family, for the future. 2 years after the silence, Ambassador Martinez stood before the full council to propose a new initiative. Humanity wishes to establish a mutual defense treaty. Any species that signs this treaty agrees to defend the others against external threats. We share resources, share technology, and share responsibility for galactic security. Why would humanity want this? Asked a skeptical council member. You have the largest fleet in the galaxy. You do not need our help. We have a large fleet, agreed. But we learned something important during our time of silence. Unity makes us stronger. When every human worked together, we achieved the impossible. Imagine what we could achieve if every species worked together. This sounds like you want to build an alliance against someone, observed. Who is the enemy? There is no enemy, said. Not yet, but the galaxy is large. We have explored maybe 5% of it. Who knows what is out there? What if there is a threat that makes the Council and humanity look small? Would you want to face that alone, or would you want allies? The proposal was debated for months. Eventually, 12 species signed the Mutual Defense Treaty. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough to matter. Enough to show that cooperation was possible. Admiral Brandon Cole retired from military service 3 years after the silence. He had done what he set out to do. Humanity was safe, respected, no longer underestimated. He returned to his home, a small house on the coast where he could watch the ocean. Sanders visited him there one afternoon. They sat on his porch, drinking tea and watching the waves. Do you think we did the right thing? She asked. Building that fleet, going to war. We did not go to war, Brandon replied. We went to defend our homes. There is a difference. Some people say we should have conquered the Council, made humanity the dominant power. Those people miss the point. We did not build that fleet to conquer anyone. We built it to survive, and we did survive. Now we can build something better than an empire. We can build a community. You think that will work? Humans and aliens living together peacefully. I think it is worth trying. The alternative is endless war, endless fear. I would rather live in a galaxy where different species help each other than one where they constantly fight. Smiled, you sound like an optimist. I am a realist. I know that peace is fragile. I know there will be conflicts in the future. But I also know that we are stronger together than apart. The silence taught us that. When every human worked together, we became unstoppable. Imagine if every species learned that lesson. 5 years after the silence, the galaxy had changed. Human ships traveled freely through Council space. Council ships visited Earth without fear. Young humans and young aliens studied at the same universities, learning from each other. Trade flourished. Technology advanced. The scars of conflict slowly healed. But humanity never forgot the lesson of the silence. Every human child learned the story, how their species had unified, how they had built the impossible, how they had defended their homes and won their freedom. And in deep space, hidden in places known only to human military command, shipyards continued to operate. Smaller than before, quieter than before, but always building, always preparing, because humanity had learned another lesson that day. Peace is maintained by those strong enough to enforce it. The galaxy would never see another fleet like the one that struck after the silence. 500,000 ships appearing from nowhere, moving as one, unstoppable and coordinated. That fleet had been dismantled, converted, and dispersed. But the ability to build such a fleet remained. The knowledge remained. The unity remained. And if humanity was ever threatened again, if someone ever tried to take what was theirs, they would remember what they were capable of. Earth had gone quiet overnight. The galaxy had assumed humanity was gone. Instead, humanity was preparing. And when they struck with such force that no one would ever underestimate them again. The silence had ended with thunder. And in the years that followed, the echo of that thunder reminded everyone of a simple truth. Humanity protects its own, always. Those people do not understand what we were fighting for, Brandon said. We were not fighting for power. We were fighting for survival, for freedom, for the right to exist without fear. We won that fight. Now we go home and build the kind of galaxy we want to live in. Think it will last? The peace, maybe, maybe not. But we sent a message today. Humanity protects its own. Anyone who forgets that will learn the same lesson the Council learned. They stood in silence, watching the city come back to life below them. 500,000 ships had struck like thunder, and in the silence that followed, a new balance had been born. Not comply will answer to me personally. And after they withdraw, then we negotiate, because I do not think we can win this war. And Earth's silence ended with thunder. Typed a message into his personal log, one that only he would read. I believe we have made a terrible mistake.